What is the most successful parenting style? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about parenting styles. This video explores the parenting style that consistently leads to confident, emotionally healthy children. We're going to be talking about parenting styles, how to get on the same page with your spouse or whoever you're co-parenting with, and what parenting style is going to give you the best results. So I'm probably the most known for this book here, Parenting a House United, which is kind of the main piece of everything that I teach, so I highly recommend getting this book. But after I wrote this book, I knew that people needed something else to help them get on the same page with each other. They had some hurdles to overcome, and the hurdles were, but I was parented this way. But I was parented this way, a husband or a wife or co-parents might say to each other. And because of that, they don't know how they can move forward. So I ended up writing this book called Popular Parenting Methods to help husbands and wives and co-parents get on the same page with each other. Even if you are a single parent, you can read this book and understand what traps you might be falling into as a single parent trying to develop some consistency in the parenting. So let's talk about self-government parenting, because that's one of the styles of parenting. In fact, I call it traditional strict parenting in this book here. But it is really all about self-governing yourselves and teaching them, the children, how to self-govern themselves too. If you do that, that actually helps them become more emotionally healthy and confident. In this book, I talk about 3 different styles of parenting. So there's the permissive style of parenting, which we call the modern progressive parenting. Then there is the aggressive, more militant, more micromanaging type of parenting, which is called the bully fear-based parenting approach. And then there is the traditional strict parenting, which is the very authoritative, I'm prepared and planned ahead of time. I deliberately create my culture. I deliberately follow through, which means whatever principles I'm expecting my children to live or skills my children are going to live, I'm also going to be living those skills as well. So those are the 3 types of parenting. A lot of parents think of themselves as being authoritative, like, oh yes, I follow through, I'm consistent. But oftentimes when they're doing that follow through, they're aggressive when they're following through. Or maybe they are even just too permissive. They think they're following through, but really most of the time or half of the time they're not. And they're only following through when they're getting aggressive. A lot of people switch back and forth. So they want to be principled, traditional, strict, but they end up becoming the child's friend and being permissive. And then when the child seems to have behavioral issues that are too big and the friend thing isn't handling it, then they snap over to the bully fear-based approach and they get more aggressive. And so they're just manipulating the children back and forth and back and forth. A true traditional strict type of a parent does not move. They are at a fixed point. They don't go back and forth on this parenting spectrum of manipulation. That means that they establish these are the skills, this is how we'll follow through, we calmly handle it, I don't need to fight with you about things because we've got a plan for how to handle all the things that might come our way. That's what a traditional strict parent does. And when you read this book, Popular Parenting Methods, and husband and wife discuss these different types of parenting, and you figure out, oh, I've been doing modern progressive on this, bully fear-based on this, but I think I'm traditional strict because maybe on chores I'm traditional strict or something like that. When you can discuss all the different types of parenting together, you'll see where you're falling into different traps and why you're not achieving the results that you want. So how does traditional strict parenting help with this confidence and creating this emotional health and resilience that we want in our children? When a parent plans ahead of time what skills and principles they are going to use in their parenting, they teach them, this is exactly how I will correct you if things don't go right. These are the words that I'm going to say. These are the consequences that I'm going to use. If it's all predictable like that, then the child is left free to analyze their own behaviors instead of trying to just read the emotions from the parent. If the parent is in that manipulation spectrum where they're trying to get these friendly emotions from the child and then instill fear in the child and make the child worried and tell the child, that they're going to be in trouble and all this kind of stuff, and they threaten, they go back and forth, that child is just reading emotions from the parent and trying to take emotional cues, and that's it. And even though it's important to learn to take emotional cues from people for good social development, it actually can create a person that's very passive, that feels like everything happens to them. They're the victim of their circumstances. Surely you do not want that for your child. So what you need to do instead is teach the child how to communicate with you so that they can confidently assert themselves by disagreeing appropriately, or they can confidently choose to say okay and be calm. So calmness is one of the key things that we can do in our parenting in order to create an environment where our children are confident and emotionally healthy. If we are not calm in our parenting style, then they will struggle. So how do we maintain that calmness in our parenting style? Well, we have to know how to self-govern ourselves. This whole channel is called Teaching Self-Government. The definition of self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So what that means is that you understand cause and effect as it relates to your own behaviors, and that you're regularly analyzing where you're headed and how you're doing at getting there. When you are a self-governed person, you don't need to panic over one little behavior. You can say, wait a minute, what skills do we have to handle that? So when you're prepared ahead of time and you have determined, this is my plan, I'm going to say this to prepare them to succeed, and then when things go wrong, I'm going to say this. When you have done that for your own brain, that allows you to stay more calm. And you are now predictable, which decreases their anxiety. That's why it's the most effective. If they know how to get their way with you, how to discuss things they don't want to do with you, and that you're never going to overreact about that, you're never going to shame them or talk bad about them, then guess what? They'll feel more confident in their communications. And if they're confident in their communications with you, they'll be more confident and assertive when they communicate with coaches, teachers, people at church and in their community, extended family members. They will become more mature. One of the key things that leads to confidence and emotional health and well-being is actually being more mature in your communications and being able to self-assess, make goals for yourself, and follow through. That is all possible if you take a proactive approach to your parenting. And doing that by teaching the children self-government is absolutely possible. Now, I would love to give you a free gift to help you with your parenting as you are starting to develop new skills and principles, self-government skills, I hope, in your parenting. The one thing that we've talked about the most in this video is calmness. I do have a Calm Parenting Toolkit, and I would like to give it to you for free. So if you go to teachingselfgovernment.com and click on the homepage on the Calm Parenting Toolkit, or click on the link below this video, then you can get the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free right now. That will have 10 lessons for calmness for you and for your child so that you can start improving your relationships and your parenting today. It's not the full training, but it is a mini course that will get you started. So click on the link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit and I'll see you there.